How to fix tight hamstrings for good? Well, here's what not to do. Stretch your hamstrings endlessly or force yourself into painful positions. Because the truth is, stretching usually just makes things worse. So in this video, I'll show you how I went from stiff to being able to touch my toes, and how you can do the same with just 2 simple moves. But first, in order for this to make sense, we need to understand why your hamstrings are tight to begin with. A common misconception is thinking the hamstring muscle itself is the problem, when in reality, it's almost always the nervous system around it. This is because when you stretch your hamstrings, nerves like the sciatic nerve need to move and tolerate tension. If they can't, which is the case for most people with tight hamstrings, your nervous system steps in and limits the movement. That's why the very first step to actually fixing hamstring stiffness is making sure your nervous system isn't overly limiting you. And the best way to do that is to use nerve glides. So there are 2 simple ways to do this, either seated or lying down. So whichever version you choose, slowly straighten one leg until you feel a mild sensation in the back of the hamstring. This usually feels like a gentle pulling sensation and way deeper than a stretch would. So once you reach that point, pause briefly, then bend the leg back down and repeat. Now if this feels a bit too easy, you can add a small progression by gently flexing and pointing your ankles at the top of the movement. This is going to increase that nerve movement, which is going to make this more effective. However, if your hamstrings are really tight, I recommend starting with the basic version for 1 to 2 minutes per side. So once neural tension starts to drop, most of you guys will notice you can go way deeper almost instantly. But here's the thing, if you stop here, that progress won't actually last. This is because reducing neural tension only solves part of the problem. It gives you access to the range, but doesn't give your body a reason to keep it. That's why for the second step, we're going to increase your range while challenging your muscles. This is going to make sure we turn that flexibility into something usable and long-lasting. Now a great place to start is with a RDL hold. It trains your hamstrings and glutes to stay active while they're lengthening, which tells your body that position is safe and strong. So here's how to do it. Stand next to a chair with a soft bend in your knees, then hinge at your hips and lower yourself until your palms touch the chair. From there, slowly lift your hand off the chair while activating your glutes and hamstrings. Hold that contraction for 5 seconds, then slowly come back up. Repeat this for 5 reps for 3 sets, gradually aiming to reach a little more depth as your range improves. Now this can also be done without a chair. The chair simply acts as a guide for form and depth, which many people find helpful at the start. However, there is one amazing upgrade that makes this work even faster, and that is adding weight. The added load challenges your hamstring strength and flexibility even more, which is going to make progress way faster. However, a very important cue is to stay engaged through the core and glutes the entire time. So that's just something to remember to keep things safe and controlled. Now the final level of this move is being able to perform weighted forward folds while elevated. In my experience, you'll reach the floor fairly quickly, and once you do, progress can stall. That elevation allows you to keep increasing range instead of hitting that flexibility ceiling. So whichever variation you choose, aim for 5 controlled holds per set for 3 sets, focusing on slow, controlled movement throughout the entire range. As for where to start right now, go with what feels safest and most appropriate for your body, and then work your way up. So that's the full hamstring program. If you apply this approach consistently, improving your hamstring flexibility becomes a matter of when and not if. And one final thing I do want to mention is muscle soreness. It's very normal to feel some the next day, especially when you start loading these positions. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It's simply your muscles adapting and developing strength in those ranges they're not used to. So thanks for watching, good luck with your training, and I'll see you in the next video.